So you've got a stack of podcast content ideas, like 78 post-it notes worth of content just waiting to be recorded. And now the big question is, how do you actually schedule them without making your podcast feel like a classroom? So here's the thing, having too many ideas can paralyze you just as much as having no ideas at all. You start overthinking like crazy. Should you organize it by topic? Should you do a series? Should you rotate by subject? Should you organize it by, your framework? It gets to be too much. And honestly, I get it. You don't want to waste your ideas and you definitely don't want to confuse your audience. So, how do you organize it all so that you can still have a good conversation, have an entertaining podcast, and bring your clients along in the journey so that they actually listen to you and get to know you? Let's break it down together in this video. So, in case you don't know me, my name is Ariel Okogu, and I teach coaches and consultants and even service providers how to attract high value clients through their podcast without needing a huge audience. Everything I share here comes straight from experience hosting the Work and Play podcast. Most of my episodes weren't just content, they brought in real clients. So if you're using your voice to grow your business and you're tired of guessing what to say next, who to say it to, then you're in the right place. So let's get one thing straight. On your podcast, you're not teaching a course. You're guiding your clients through a transformation, one story at a time. And that's the shift a lot of entrepreneurs, that's what they miss. You're not recording a podcast to reteach the same topics 5 different ways. Your podcast exists so you can layer in context over time so that people can actually get it when they're ready. Attracting clients isn't about structuring your podcast in a certain way. It's actually about stacking trust and building it one story at a time. Now, let's say you have a bunch of topics and they fall into different categories. So let's say one category has like 5 topics and another one has 10 and so on and so forth. You might get all excited and be like, oh, I can create a series. And you could, but let me ask you, what's easier, forcing your content to fit into a series or picking a topic you actually feel like talking about and giving context on a daily basis? If you got a story that ties into one of your topics, run with it. Then during the episode, you can say something like, I touched on this in a previous past episode, so if you want the full context or foundation, then go check it out. And if they want like an actual tutorial, that's how they can go deeper into your offers and learn about your framework. Now your content flows. You're introducing and reintroducing things every week, and you're building on them. Not to mention, you're building a relationship. It's just like an ongoing conversation, and it continues over time. Not a bunch of like disconnected lessons, and also not a boring seminar. But what if you want more structure? Honestly, I've had to embrace that about myself along the way. Not to go off on a tangent too much, but because what some people would say is neurodivergence or ADHD, I've just learned that I need a little bit of structure to keep me on track because I'll go in so many different directions. And if I do that on a podcast, then I won't close the loop on any of the topics. And then you can't take results. So if you think like that and you know that you can go all over the place talking about random topics, then create a little bit of structure. Let's say you do have a framework or a method that you want to teach. Here's what I would suggest. Share it as your concepts come into real life. So you can have your list of ideas, but don't force them to release a whole framework in order. Why? Because then your podcast becomes the product. And we don't really want that. Your clients can get the entire process for free if they listen to you for long enough. And it should be that way. If they want to run with your free content and get results, honestly, more power to them. But most people, they're going to realize that they want your support to apply it consistently. And when that moment comes, your offer will be ready and feel like it's the right next step for them. And that's the key. Even though I'm saying not to record your podcast in a specific order, I am telling you that in every single episode, you really target in on a specific result that you want to come out of this. It doesn't necessarily have to be they become a millionaire after listening to one episode, even though that might be what clickbait titles say on YouTube. But the result could be after this, you get more clarity into who your target audience is. You get more clarity into what's driving your decisions in your relationship, or you learn what specific niche to choose when you start a business. Whatever the result is, just be clear on what you want to drive and then allow the conversation to form around your intention. The secret is in situational content. Let me tell you what I mean. All of those ideas that you wrote on a post-it note or you wrote on your walls or even in a notebook, keep those ideas in front of you. As the situation arises, like a real life moment, once it hits, record an episode about it. That episode will always land better and be more engaging because you're speaking from real experience, not just checking off a list of content ideas. Remember, we're not teaching in a classroom, we're guiding from experience. Your clients aren't here for lectures. They want to know your framework and they want to know how it applies to the real issues that came up for them that week. Time you listen to a podcast, either you were in the heat of emotion where you needed to change your perspective or change your emotion or get insight on a deeper topic, or how something technical applies in real life. I just listened to a Patrick McDavid episode where they were talking specifically about how Trump's decision making is going to affect America. And while I might not be the most political person, I actually watch his episodes to get a context of what do some of these laws actually mean and how do they affect me. So Patrick didn't have to go into the technical sense of the politics, but what he did was tell stories around how this applies to his life, to his business, how his business partners could take some notes about these political things. And he made it all tangible so that I could learn a little bit about the political sphere. So remember, you don't need a full calendar or content blocks to create this content on a consistent basis. Content blocks are helpful, but that's not what you want to do with these ideas that you have. You need conversations that actually mean something to your listener and your potential client. Now, for the technical folks out there, if your work involves specific terms or concepts that your clients need to understand in order to get like what the conversation is about on your podcast, that's where you can create a short segment that comes into your podcast episodes. Maybe it's at the top of the episode where you talk about, a quick term that clients may need to know about in order to understand this episode. Then maybe break it down for 2 minutes. And it doesn't have to be in the beginning. It can be throughout the whole podcast because perhaps you're landing on a bunch of different technical terms that need to be specified or clarified before you can just move on in the conversation. Understanding your audience is the most important thing here. So if you think your listener might not know, or even if there's someone on the panel who doesn't know something, then you probably want to break it down. So you can call this segment like quick clarity moment or know this term or whatever, something catchy, and give them the definition. Give them the why behind it, why we're talking about this, and how it shows up in their life. Maybe provide some examples, and then spend the rest of the episode telling the story of how this connects. That way you stay human and it gives your podcast some life. You're relatable, but they still can learn something in the process. So don't think about just dumping things out. It's about anchoring the lessons in something that sticks. If you listen to Patrick McDavid, and I hope I'm not messing up his name, I'm going to drop it in the comments if I am, then you will see that even though the content is very information based, the conversations get you interested, especially if you're an adult like me, getting into your more serious topics. So what about scheduling? Okay, so you really want to know specifics. Like, should you release one topic a week? You should rotate them, or how about even alternate topics on your list? Here's my take. Go with whatever keeps you consistent. So if rotating your topics help you stay on track, then do that. If recording what's on top of mind keeps you energized, go with that. But just stay away from checking off a box and making sure that your content fits within a specific structure. Clients don't really care if it's Monday motivation or topic Tuesday. Honestly, they only care about whether you show up regularly and if your content actually solves a problem that they need help with. So fill it out. And as a business owner, you gotta let your podcast rhythm be real for you. Your consistency in showing up matters more than your calendar blocks or recording at a specific time. But if you can record at a specific time, by all means, stay consistent with the time as well as your frequency. Okay, cool. So if you stuck around to this part in the video, but you're still wondering how do you organize your content, then here's my take. In its summary, you want to keep your ideas front and center. Keep them visible. Don't forget about your ideas. I'm not telling you to throw them away. Keep your ideas visible, but let stories guide the structure. Don't try to fit your topics into a sequence or a course. You want to just drop gems and then offer step by step to people who want to actually work with you. Now, if you get super technical, always you can use those mini segments that I talked about or just lace definitions throughout the podcast. And as much as possible, you want to connect the dots across episodes. So imagine you're having a full-fledged conversation with someone and then you have someone walk up at a networking event that just gets into the conversation. You obviously would catch them up a little bit, maybe not in a full dissertation, but you'll catch them up and bring them along in the conversation so you can keep this conversation going. And then when everybody's on the same page, this person can now join in the conversation, which makes the whole thing better. And last but not least, always point people to your paid offer for the full guided transformation. Remember, this is not about perfect content. It's really about connection, and that connection over time is what builds relationship and ultimately builds your pockets and ultimately builds your client base. People don't binge watch because it's organized perfectly. They binge because it feels like you're talking directly to them. When listeners lock in, they lock in for a journey. So guide them through it one moment at a time. From someone who doesn't know you at all to the person who actually signs up to follow you on a journey to someone who actually locks in and grows with you as a client. I hope this video helps you structure your podcast episodes in a way that actually helps your clients. And if this helped, let me know what you want me to include or go deeper on in the next video. The truth is, you probably already know what episodes you want to record next, and you already know what your audience needs to hear. You're like, I could literally knock out 3 of these episodes today, and you probably can. But before you do, grab my client attraction episode planner. It'll show you if your next few episodes are just valuable or they actually designed to bring in clients in your business through your virtual front door. I'm so excited for you. And I'm an entrepreneur and a mom, which means I don't have a lot of time. I literally don't have a lot of time, but I create these videos to help you take action. My strategies were born out of a need because I was a podcaster, endlessly creating content without getting clients, and I knew something had to change. So again, I really hope this episode drives the point home. And if you want to go deeper on this topic, then I have a video right here for you to check out. Let me know what you think. But until next time, I'll see you soon.